Welcome back to Mesa, Arizona, here on Championship Court at the inaugural PPA first stop of the tour. This is a tour of 7 events across the United States, more than $500,000 in prize money. And right now you're looking at a third round match here between Irina Tereschenko, Callie Smith, and in the matching pink, 2 women we just saw earlier, or I should say a woman and a girl, Lee Waters and Annalie Waters. This is 0-0-2, the first point of this best 2 out of 3 match.
Can I have a PPA representative to return the best blue PPA rep?
Tereschenko gets a little bit of help from the net right there. That's going to happen a lot because the players must keep the ball so low to the net, so tight, if they're going to avoid being attacked. 1-0-2 is the score. Waters are definitely going to test out the blocking abilities of Tereschenko and Smith. That is the ability to receive those fastballs from close to the net and not pop them up, but instead play back a low ball that's difficult to be attacked. There's a nice example there and a good low volley from Tereschenko. Here we go. Something you can expect to see from Tereschenko is that she steps out to her left, uses that forehand, rolls it inside out to the backhand of her opponent as a dink, and then looks for something high that she can pounce on. Good blocks from Tereschenko there. This time she hits the net, but it does not favor her. Instead favors Waters and Waters. 1-1-2. Tereschenko looking to use that forehand again. Earlier today, if you weren't with us, we saw Tereschenko and Smith come back after being down a game against Catherine Parenteau and Andrea Koop. And in the post-game interview, we talked with Irina about their strategy, and she agreed that when she started to take more control, be a little more aggressive, especially up near the net, that good things happen for them. So we're going to see, there's a nice example of her probably with the right plan there. Just overcooked that turkey a little bit and hits the ball into the net. 2-1-2. We love hearing from you, so if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to say hi. I'm going to try to do a little more chatting with the viewers. 1-2-1 is the score. If you've got some questions about what's going on or what you're seeing, happy to talk about it. Waters overpowers the backhand of Tereschenko there. Here we go. There's that pattern we see, the inside-out forehand from Tereschenko, looking to get something high. That was something high off the top of the net, but handcuffs Tereschenko a little bit. Ball goes out, and that's going to be a point. Tereschenko Smith just making sure they're on the right side. Callie Smith gives a signal that she's going to switch, so watch for Tereschenko to return the serve. She's going to come to the net, and they're going to switch. Again, with Tereschenko on the left, so important she can keep that ball low off the volley, and she does. Because Lee Waters was looking to pounce there. 4-2-1 is the score. Seems like Oh, seems a little bit uncertain there. Don Stanley, of course, holding court out there. One of the most seasoned professional referees we have in the sport. That is a nice topspin third shot drop from Young Waters. 5-2-2. And that is a clean winner. You don't often see that. Really important strategy here. We're going to talk about it a little bit more afterwards. Looks like that's going to be a timeout. This hydration break brought to you by Jigsaw Health. Be back in a minute.
I've tried a lot of other products, plenty of electrolyte mixes. They either contain some sort of sugar in them or something to give you a boost for a little while, but eventually it runs out.
Jigsaw products help me stay competitive. They help me stay energized.
It's helped me become a better player.
Jigsaw helps me recover faster.
I think all of you need Jigsaw Health in your life. And you know why?
It's fun to feel good.
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 It's fun to feel good. Cheers.
And we're back live from Mesa, Arizona. Mark Renison here. We are looking at a women's pro doubles match here on Championship Court. Lee and Annalie Waters are serving. They're leading here right now against Irina Tereschenko. Don Stanley, 6-2-2. Waters controlling this first game. With that ball in the net, you might call that a successful timeout by Tereschenko and Smith. It's always nice to get a stop after calling the timeout. 2-6-1. That drop sits up a little bit too high for Smith, and that's too aggressive from her. Tereschenko was looking to poach. This was something we saw earlier when Tereschenko and Smith were playing, is that most returns were hit to Tereschenko, trying to keep her off the net, as we see there, allowing Smith to come forward. And what we would typically see is that when the return did in fact go to Smith, Irina would come forward and really be aggressive there over the middle, which more often than not paid dividends. Irina Tereschenko had that high forehand lined up. Lee Waters trying to push things a little bit there with a bit of a flick off the forehand side. Tereschenko is so good at sitting on that forehand, ready to pounce. 4-6-2. Smith, Tereschenko clawing their way back in this opening game. And there's another one for them. Looks like we're going to have a quick 60-second timeout. We're going to be back in a second with more, the conclusion of game number 1 here from Mesa. Welcome back to Championship Court here in Mesa. Lee Waters and Aaron Lee Waters jumped out to an early lead, but Callie Smith and Irina Tereschenko pressuring them here. 5-6-2 is the score. That ball just sails a little bit long. That's one of Smith's favorite patterns there, is to attack off that backhand side, even against speed. Sometimes can't quite keep up to it. 6-5-1. Here comes the drive. That last shot notwithstanding, that's a nice example of how Waters and Waters really, I would argue, more well-rounded as a team than people often give them credit for. Of course, they're known for their power game, but we saw a great example there of their ability to defend and to reset the point, to play a good drop that let them get back into the action. Something that I think sometimes we underappreciate about those two. Hey, Danny Santiago from Arizona. Oh, from Hawaii. Well, that's nice, too. Glad you're watching. There we go. We talked earlier about when that return goes to Tereschenko, which is more often than not what their opponents have been doing. Callie Smith has eagerly moved forward, and more often than not, she's okay doing that because Tereschenko is very steady with her third shots. That one sat up a little bit too high, and Smith paid the price. You see she's staying back now a little bit. Lee Waters, so powerful. There you go. That ball catches off the top of the net, goes just a little bit out at the sideline. Looking through the comments here a little bit back, Luke Kramer was asking about a conversation I was having earlier with Irina Tereschenko, and I was arguing that perhaps we're going to see, for exactly that reason we saw just there, a return of serve that's actually a little bit shorter, but most important about it is that it's low, forcing the upward hit. And we saw right there that was a low return. Lee Waters drove it anyway, and because she had to hit on an upward trajectory, the ball goes out. So I don't know, if you're in Arizona right now, if you're, well, I guess even if you're watching at home and you want to start to keep some stats, I'd be curious about how often the serving team is hitting the third shot from inside the baseline as opposed to on or behind it. And my hunch is that we're going to see a little bit more. There's a little bit more on that forehand volley from Anna Lee Waters. Looks like there's going to be a quick timeout here. 9-5-2. We'll be back in 1 minute for the conclusion of game number 1. Referee Don Stanley lets the players know they've got 15 seconds to go. We're back live. Mark Renison here, bringing you the commentary all weekend long here from Mesa, the inaugural PPA event, Pickleball Professional Association. 9-5-2, we've got Lee Waters serving from the right side to Callie Smith. And that's the shake and bake that sometimes it's referred to. On the men's side, it was Marcin Rospetsky out of California, and Morgan Evans, that we would also often see that drive poach combination. There we go. That ball goes through the middle. And a well-disguised shot. It was nice and low. Perfectly played, so it wasn't really clear to Tereschenko or Smith who was going to take it. 5-9-2. That's the way to hit the spot. There we go. Look at that. This is something we talked about at the start of today, how the pro players always assume that ball is going to come over the net. They are never surprised when it touches the net and comes over. And that lack of surprise means that they have a chance to make a play on it like that. We saw that from Tereschenko. So athletic. There we go. Mistimed that backhand swinging volley as a counterattack. Irina Tereschenko did. That ball goes out. Just a quick reminder, if you would like to become a member of the PPA, your first year can be free. Go to their website and use the promo code FIRSTYEAR. This is, of course, the first year of the PPA, the Pro Pickleball Association. More than $500,000 in prize money to be won over the course of the year. 7 stops on this tour. 9-6-2 is the score. And with that ball going just out, it's going to be a side out. 6-9-1. Tereschenko serving to Lee Waters. There we go. So we've talked about the drive poach combination a number of times today, where that third shot is hit hard and low and then the non-hitting player crosses over the middle. We also will see drop poach combinations, especially off a deep return like that, because when that drop gets hit, the net team will typically try to play back at the deeper player. So the person who didn't hit the drop will look to poach, anticipating a ball over the middle. Tereschenko once again sitting on that forehand, ready for the attack. These players will always assume that the ball is coming fast. That way if it does, they're ready to handle it, and if it doesn't, they just play a dink. No big deal. There you go. Ball sails just a little bit long off the Tereschenko forehand flick. 9-7-1. Lee Waters serving here in game number 1. Pro women's doubles. Just rip it, says Tereschenko. They have had success when she's hit hard. This is game point number 1. Lee Waters serving to Tereschenko. And Lee knows how to rip it. Well defended. We talked earlier about how important it is to keep that ball low when your opponents are attacking with speed. Unfortunately for Tereschenko Smith, the threat is not over. 10-7-2, game point. And that ball goes just wide. All right, game number 1 goes to Waters. Waters, 11-7. We're going to go to a quick timeout. We're going to be back in a second with game number 2 here from Mesa, Arizona.
Matt Wright, Kyle Yates, court 2.
So, how did you do?
Won that one. On to the next.
Michelle Esquivel, court 3. Ben John, Joey Ferrarius, center court.
Gotta go.
Lucy Kovalovica.
Good luck.
Irina Irina, court 3.
All right, welcome back to the Mesa Tennis Center here in Mesa, Arizona. I'm your host, Mark Renison, bringing you live coverage all weekend long here from the first Pro Pickleball Association event of the year. And if you're just joining us, we witnessed Lee and Annalie Waters taking game number 1, 11-7, against their opponents, Irina Tereschenko and Callie Smith. And Waters are going to try to build on that first lead. They've now got the sun at their back, which is nice for them. And a little bit of wind in their face. Not too much, but there's a bit of a breeze. Players will often prefer to have the wind at their back. It helps to speed up the drive a little bit. But I would venture to guess that Waters of Waters don't mind having the wind in their face a little bit. They've got no problem adding power when they need it. So having a little bit of wind can help keep those balls in play. 0-0-2. Annalie Waters serving to Irina Tereschenko. Talk about sitting on a forehand there. We see Callie Smith. She's ready to handle that one. 0-0-1. Callie Smith venturing pretty far over there. Scoots her way back, though. And Tereschenko misses that ball in the net. Good deep return from Tereschenko. Difficult to hit a effective drop from way back there. And if you can't hit an effective drop, it's tough to work your way forward. That ball looks like it was just out. It's going to bring up Lee Waters to serve here. A lot of discussion going on between Waters and Waters, and right now they're setting it up so that Lee is on the right side with her backhand in the center of the court. Speaking of backhands, that's a solid two-hander from Callie Smith. Really one of her signature shots. So strong on that left side. 0-0-1. Tereschenko once again sitting on the forehand, mishits a little bit, which means that Lee Waters can't quite catch up to it. Just got announced the next match coming up after this one on this championship court is going to be Lucy Kovalova and Simone Jardim taking on Jessie Irvin and Lindsay Newman. That's going to be a match that you want to stay around for. But in the meantime, we've got a great match in front of us right now. (0-1-1) is the score here. Both teams trading side outs early. Got a few of you commenting on the quality of the stream here. You're right, of course, that the quality is very high. That's thanks to Carl Schmitz and the team at Pro Pickleball. And the best thing you can do to compliment us, if you like what you're seeing, is to hit that share button. Let other people know that you're watching. Give them a chance to watch as well and see this great women's pro doubles action today. Wow. Watch out. There we go. And through the 5-hole. For you hockey fans out there, or non-hockey fans, I should say, that's a reference to when you score a goal between the legs of the opponents, between the goalie, that's known as the 5-hole, and that is exactly where that ball went. Okay, Tereschenko at last. Lee Waters there on that left side cross-court dinking exchange. 2-1-2. Tereschenko a little frustrated with herself, missing balls she feels like she should make. Telling herself, just put it in the court, anywhere, even the middle will be fine. She does go to the middle. There's the defensive lob. Waters. I talked earlier about how Waters now have the sun at their back, and so that's why you saw that defensive lob there, hoping that was tough for Tereschenko and Callie Smith to play the overhead, but goes just long. Tereschenko loading up on that forehand again. That really is her go-to. We've talked about it a number of times today. I saw a question someone had earlier about whether there's a television contract for the tour events. I don't believe so. I believe that this is sort of the format you're going to be seeing throughout the course of the year. This is the team at PPA is not running this as a 1 year kind of event. They're in it for the long haul. They've committed serious time and effort and resources into making this possible, and who knows what the future holds. But right now, the future is that we're going to go to a quick timeout at 4-3. We're going to be back in a second. More live from Mesa. Hey, does it sound good? Yeah. Oh.
Matt Wright, Kyle Yates, court 2.
So, how did you do?
Jardam,
Won that one. On to the next.
Michelle Esquivel, court 3. Ben John, Joey Ferrarius, center court.
Gotta go.
Lucy Kovalovica,
Good luck.
Irina Sarah.
4-3-2. Irina Tereschenko serving to Lee Waters. Callie Smith so good. The deceptive little forehand flick there. She sort of had her shoulders and body going left. Instead, she hit straight ahead. And being able to disguise what you're doing, deceive your opponents is so important. The first drop by Tereschenko was great. The second one, not so much. 3-5-1. Just a reminder that Lee and Annalie Waters won game number 1. They're down a couple here. Well left by Lee Waters. This is something that really differentiates levels of players, the ability to know when not to hit the ball. And Lee Waters, great example there. Tereschenko calmly plays the ball off the top of the net. This will be tough for Waters to get out of. He tries to do it with power. And again, what you'll see is players would do that because drops have to be so precisely hit that if they're not perfect, the emergency will continue. And so players sometimes what they'll do is in those emergency situations is try to drive it, but with players the caliber of Tereschenko and Smith, so good at handling speed that in that situation, it's probably not going to save the day driving the ball from back there. Another ball off the top of the net. Ooh, that ball barely caught the line. Irina takes it close. They're gonna call it in, I think. They're gonna call it in. (5-4-2) is the score. See, Mary Darcy Bittner saying she's amazed at how quickly Callie Smith moves her feet. One of the things that people often underappreciate in pickleball, how well you swing at the ball doesn't really matter if you can't get to the ball. And so I would argue that the main skill of pickleball isn't actually hitting, it's moving. And you will find that as you go up in level, you'll see more steps and smaller steps. Whereas when you go down in level, you'll see fewer steps and bigger steps. And players will take those smaller steps to adjust, so that they're not just kind of like set up to the ball, but set up as perfectly as possible when they hit it. And so those small, fast steps are so key. You can almost think of when you see boxers preparing for their fight is they take a whole bunch of like small little bouncy steps so that they can adjust precisely, and that's what you're seeing out here from these 4 women. Seeing a good battle there at the net with 2-handed backhands. Callie Smith comes out on top, and she likes that. Let's say hi to Steve Norman, who's watching from New Zealand. New Zealand spent some time on North Island a number of years ago, and a really beautiful place to be. Diane Warner, not too far from my hometown in Ontario, Canada, dealing with the snow. It's beautiful here today. It started out a little bit cold earlier, and I still wouldn't say it's hot, but pretty ideal conditions here as Annalie Waters serves 4-5-1 to Callie Smith. Good presence of mind there from Tereschenko to stay on that ball. That's what we call a reset there. Callie Smith able to defend with a good drop eventually, but can't quite hang on. 5-5-1. There you go. That's a great counterattack off the backhand side again from Callie Smith. Got Carol Wood watching from the Villages, Florida, a place that many people will know about if they're involved in the pickleball world. There we go. Okay, that's going to be a quick break. This hydration break brought to you by Jigsaw Health. We're going to be back in a moment with more. The conclusion of game number 2 from Mesa, Arizona.
In pickleball, the last thing I want to think about when I'm playing is cramping or if you're able to perform 100%. Last US Open, I was playing singles and I was feeling like my right calf was getting like really stiff. And I was just like, okay, how can I help my body to perform better? When I start taking Jigsaw products, I'm gonna have energy, I'm gonna have good endurance, and I don't have to worry about me being tired or I'm gonna cramp, so I can just play 100%. You only have one body, so you need to take care of it.
You were looking at Lee Waters, who's getting ready to serve from the left side of the court to her opponent, Irina Tereschenko. 6-5-2 is the score. Waters won game number 1, 11-7. A nice backhand down the line from Waters Sr. Catches Callie Smith a little too close to her body. It's exactly what you want when you're playing those flicks. Revel Revity noticed that, yes, it is indeed head referee Don Stanley. He's heading up the crew of the referees that we have here at the PPA circuit. Chris Spitzig in Sarnia, Ontario. We'll stay here for a moment. From Sarnia, Ontario, a beautiful place in northern Ontario. They've just added a whole bunch of beautiful new pickleball courts out there in Sarnia. And while the players have this hydration break sponsored by Jigsaw Health, we'll take a look at some of the other people who are watching. Steve's telling us about the pickleball in New Zealand. Inviting everyone watching right now to go visit him. Stay at his house, I bet. Love to have you, show you around of the ropes. Hope you don't mind me volunteering you there, Steve. Annalie Waters and Lee Waters are serving here. 7-5, you hear that airplane go over. We're quite close to Municipal Airport. 8-5-2. Waters and Waters would love to win this game and close out this match. And that ball just catches the inside of the court. Just enough topspin. We talked earlier about how Waters and Waters are hitting into the wind. That was definitely a wind-assisted flick there that stayed in the court. 9-5-2. That ball just sails long. That's going to send up match point here. 10-5-2, Waters and Waters. It's going to be a quick timeout here. We'll be back in just a second for match point, Waters, Waters.
The day before I start match day in pickleball, I make sure I have all my electrolytes. I would use the normal sports drinks that I grew up using. I started taking Jigsaw electrolytes. It's been beneficial and helped my game improve a lot. I know that throughout the day, I'm going to be fine for those 12 to 14 hours if it takes that long. My body's going to hold up. So that was great, not having to worry about one more thing besides just playing pickleball.
All right, welcome back. We've got match point here. Lee and Annalie Waters serving to close it out against Irina Tereschenko and Callie Smith. 10-5-2. Had to think that that ball was coming pretty soon. It's not too many dinks in a row that you see from Waters, and as that ball goes off the backhand of Callie Smith into the crowd, Lee and Annalie Waters take this game and this match. 11-7, 11-5. They're going to be moving on to the next round. Speaking of the next round, they're going to play the winner of the match that's coming up next here on Championship Court. This will be a doozy. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be Lucy Kovalova and Simone Jardim taking on Jessie Irvin and Lindsay Newman. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to be back in a second with an interview with Lee and Annalie Waters, and we're going to tee up the next match. So stay close. Mark Renison from Mesa, Arizona at the PPA first tournament of the year. Hey, welcome back to Mesa, Arizona. Mark Renison here at the inaugural PPA event. This is the first of 7 stops, and you just finished watching Lee and Annalie Waters winning their match. 2 straight games. Must be nice to come out of that. We're just saying must be nice to win that in 2 straight games and take a little...
Yeah, it's always nice to win in 2 games. Third games, you got the nerves going. It can be a little dicey.
The person who wins the second game has all the momentum going into the third.
Yeah, I told Annalie, I said, let's stay on top of them and finish this out.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. So right now, I'm sure you're going to be taking a peek at the match coming up. We've got Lucy Kovalova and Simone Jardim, and they're taking on Lindsay Newman and Jessie Irvin. What can we expect to see from this match, do you think?
I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of steady play. I mean, none of these players make unforced errors, especially Simone and Lucy. They really work the point until they get that shot. I think you'll see Lucy play a little bit aggressive, and so we'll see what happens.
And earlier in the year, we did see, when especially notable when you were in Dallas, is that you two at the kitchen line, especially against the big power hitters, tend to be off that little line a little bit. Can we expect, Annalie, to see that in your next match?
I'm sure that's how we play. That's our game. That's what makes us different from other players. But it just gives us that one extra second to react to the hard ball, and we're probably going to speed it up. So we know it's coming back hard.
All right, well, I know everyone's going to be looking forward to it. I will as well. Go get a break, and we'll see you back here on center court soon. Thanks again. All right, we're going to be back in a moment with this next match coming up. It is Lucy Kovalova and Simone Jardim taking on Lindsay Newman and Jessie Irvin. It's going to be a good one. So quick break, and we'll be back from Mesa, Arizona.